In this series of videos, we're going to be looking at Renishaw's Productivity Plus Active Editor Pro software. Active Editor Pro is a Windows-based application that's designed for the programming of Renishaw's spindle probes and tool setters for machine tools. The main aim of the product is for setting up parts and tools prior to the manufacturing process, but is also really good at actually helping control that process while it's running. Now, normally this would be programmed by a machine tool programmer as opposed to being down on the shop floor with an operator, but in this case it's a really good way for us to be here to help show how the product works and what it can do. So this is the first in a series of videos. What we're going to look at is the basic UI, but the main focus here is going to be how we import a CAD model and manipulate it so it's set up ready to go. So this is the environment here. We have a series of toolbars along the top. We're not going to get into a lot of that in this video. That will probably come later. The main view here is where we'll be working, and that's our CAD view. So it's important to note that you don't need to have a CAD model in order to program Productivity Plus. You can program without and set positions, but of course it just makes things really, really easy if you've got one. So the first thing we're going to do is select Import Solid Model, and I've got two files here I'm going to import. So one of these files is the component, the other file is for the fixture. So obviously you can just have the component for programming, but I think anything you can actually model up that's in your machine environment is really helpful when you're actually programming your tool parts. We can't do machine sim in Active Editor Pro, but we can simulate the pro path. So anything that we can do to protect that is going to be really helpful. So those models have been imported now. In this case, these are Parasolid files, and actually with a Productivity Plus license, you do get STEP and IGES as well included. If you do want to support other CAD formats, we have them, and they need to be purchased separately. Okay, so we've got our models in. Now, these now need to be set up as they are on the machine tool. In many cases, they may not be from where they've been exported if you've got them from a customer, so you might need to manipulate the models. In order to do that, we have this menu here, which is our solid model tools. There's a variety of options. We're not going to go into all of them today, but we'll look at a couple of key ones to get you going. So if I select on the rotate, now all the models that we've got here and all the functions, we first will need to select the model that we're going to move. So if I choose this pick bodies and select our parts, the next thing I need to do is choose an origin point. So this is where we're going to rotate the part around. So if I zoom in just using the mouse wheel, now as you move your mouse around the component, you will see various elements get selected. I'm just for now going to choose the midpoint of that line, just to show this example. So we're going to rotate around that point. Now, we're going to also choose the axis we're going to rotate around. So in this case, I'm going to choose the x-axis. So I'm going to select that there. And I want to level the part, so I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and then hit apply. So what we'll see now is that part's now been rotated around. Now I know how it is on the machine, it actually also needs to be rotated around 180 degrees to face the other way. So I can keep that part selected and the origin point, and this time I'm going to select the z-axis that we're going to rotate around and choose 180 degrees. So if I hit apply it again, great, that's now spun that part around, and that's how it looks on the machine tool. Now what I also want to do is just move this around slightly in the view. There's a couple of tools we can use to do that. We have a orbit and pan button up here on the toolbar, but we actually have shortcut keys that allow you to do that as well. So if I use the shift key and right mouse click, that will allow me to pan the part around the view. And equally if I use control and right mouse click, I can then orbit it. So as I orbit that round, we can see quite clearly that the part is a very long way from that fixture. So we now need to move that down into the fixture. Now there's two holes, one in the part and one on the fixture, that are going to actually be the mating points. So there's a way we can move that in one move. So if I select Translate to Point in our solid model tools, what we're going to do is we're going to orbit this around and zoom in, and this hole is one of the origin points of the model that I want to move. So if I choose Pick Origin and then select that hole center point, I'm now going to orbit this around again and then I'm going to pick the destination. So if I click on Pick Destination and select the hole on the plate, so now we've got those 2 points which we want to make together. Now we have the X, Y, and Z ticked. I could untick some of those if I just want to move the part in one particular axis. In this case, I want to move all 3 axes, so I'm just going to hit Apply. And now we'll see if I rotate this round that the part is now sat on top of the plate. Great. If I want to have a look at those holes, I can actually right-click on the model and choose this model view here where I can select Transparent. And as we see here, these 2 cylinders are now on top of each other, so that's great. That's where we want it to be. Okay, so just going to zoom that out. We have a series of views on the toolbar here, which are fixed views. So this is our isometric one where we can see at this angle, but we can look at the model at a variety of different faces as well. So if I go back to our isometric view, now the final thing we want to do is make sure that the part is in the right location with regards to the work coordinate system. I will tackle setting work coordinate systems in another video, but actually moving these parts is a nice final step for what we're looking at today. So in order to do that, I want to select everything we've got in this view because we're going to move absolutely everything. So if I choose Pick Bodies and left click and drag over all the models, everything will be selected. Now, the point that we want our coordinate system is going to be a point on the part. So if I pick the origin point, in this case, it's actually going to be the center point, top center here of this main ball. So I'm going to click on that. And the destination where we want to send it to is actually going to be our WCS 000. So the whole world coordinate system that we have here. So instead of picking a point for that, I'm going to hit Edit Position and just put 0, 0, 0. Hit OK. All 3 axes are going to be moved. Hit Apply. So that's now going to shift the part and the fixture together. Great, there we go. And that's now moved that bore to being the center point for our work coordinate system. Okay, so that's the part set up. Like I said, we'll tackle work coordinate systems and programming in other videos. If this is of interest to you, please go to www.renishaw.com/products.